If your hip hurts, especially in the front, you might have a tension problem in the psoas. The psoas is a very deep muscle. It's a hip flexor, look, I have it here with me, that goes through the inside of the hip and originates at the level of the spine. I just want to show you this. Look how thick it is. Notice how wide its section is at the lumbar area and also its iliac part. So, if your pain matches what you see on the screen, I recommend you watch this video until the end, because I'm going to show you 4 very, very powerful stretches in order of difficulty, starting with the easiest and moving to the hardest. So you can stretch that muscle, decompress your hip, and improve your symptoms. But before we start, I want to invite you to Hip Week. From February 16th to 22nd, I'll be live, offering you the best exercises and the best advice to improve your pain and your quality of life. If you want to sign up, just click the card that appears right up here, enter your email, and then click the blue button. 7 days of real content completely free, where not only will I be there, but I'll also have other health professionals to offer you the best so you can resolve your pain. From every angle, I truly hope to see you at Liam 16 de Frero. And now let's get started with that routine, shall we? For that, we're going to need a chair, a mat, a plastic plate, or it could also be a sheet of paper, like the one I have here. Take a look. And just an armchair, because we'll need to do the last exercise with thumb support. Also a cushion, by the way, so we don't hurt our knees. Let's leave this here and turn the chair around. Remember, let's look at the first and simplest exercise. This is very suitable for all older people who have difficulty moving and who can't get down on the floor to do the exercises. Basically, what we're going to do is this. Look, we're going to put the leg we don't want to stretch up on the chair like this and leave the opposite leg completely stretched out. What we're looking for with the psoas is hip extension in relation to the lumbar area. That means my pelvis moves forward and my leg stays back. Open up the angle formed by the spine and the leg. So basically what we're going to do is tilt our pelvis forward, opening up the angle formed by my spine and my hip. This way, as you can see, there's a lumbar extension. We stand up straight and hold the position, and you'll feel a slight tightness here, right in front of the pelvis. The farther back you place your supporting foot and the farther the chair is, the greater the stretch. We'll be careful here because the goal isn't to work on balance, but to work safely, feeling a stretch in the front part of the hip. And that's why I recommend having a wall nearby, or having someone close to hold on to in case there's a risk of falling. The more I lean forward, the more I feel the tightness right here, at the level of the pelvis. I hold for 30 seconds and then relax. There are certain tricks that can help us improve the feeling of stretching. The first is that you don't have to lean forward, because as I mentioned before, it increases the angle between your spine and your leg. If I lean forward, I'm closing that angle. I need to open it. And to do that, I'm always going to stand up very, very straight, looking straight ahead with my chest up. When I do this, the tension will be greater. Second trick, the tip of your foot can be pointing directly outward. This way, we focus the stretch more on the insertion and we can give it a greater range of motion. We will keep the position nice and straight, hold for 30 seconds if this doesn't cause any kind of stretch. Do you want to work a little more intensely? We can place the arm right here behind the neck, which will extend the lumbar area much more and exponentially increase the stretch. In fact, here I feel a very, very strong tightness, very interesting, that finally makes my psoas feel stretched. Hand at the level of the nape, I push back with the nape to cause that stretch along the entire anterior chain. Very good exercise, a very good stretch that can help you greatly reduce tension in the psoas muscle. Remember to do it with the opposite side as well, standing very upright, with the foot, the tip of the lower foot pointing outward, very upright, hand on the knee, the nape. And I lean forward to increase the angle between my back and my leg, which is the one just behind. At no point does the back of my neck rest against my hand, okay? Stand up straight and my elbow points toward the ceiling. At no point do I bend forward. In fact, if I do this, the tension decreases. If I do this, the tension increases and I play with my pelvis. I go more forward, hold the position for 30 seconds and then go back. If it's hard for you to keep your balance, go forward, hold for 5 seconds and then come back, okay? The important thing is that you find a level of difficulty that suits your abilities, that it's an enjoyable exercise, and above all, that you know how to focus the tension, to locate the tension. Here, right in front of the hip, we turn the chair around because we're going to do a slightly more difficult stretch. This stretch involves more movement, since it's a slide on the floor. For this, we're going to need a sheet of paper, or instead a paper plate. Paper plates are extremely good and will help you perform the exercise much better. We're going to place it down on the floor. We're going to support ourselves at chair level, remember. At first, okay, we need to open the angle formed between the hip, the leg, and the spine. Open it, okay. Basically, we have to push the pelvis forward, extending that hip backward. Let's do it with the left leg, okay? My right leg stays on the floor, my left leg is on the plate. From here, watch what I do, I slide the plate. I stay very upright, very upright, very upright, and as you can see, the angle between my leg and my spine increases. Therefore, the stretch is very, very interesting. I hold for a few seconds and return to the starting position. I really like this one because the fact that the plate slides backward gives a very good feeling, a very good stretch, and very good results. I place my foot on the plate, extend it as far back as I can, and always keep myself upright. And even if you want, look, we can keep that arm back here to give more tension to the front part. A lot of tension in the front of the hip, but be careful, don't lose your balance, okay? I don't want you to fall or end up on the floor. Safety is the most important thing when doing these exercises. While we held the previous one for 30 seconds, we're going to do this one in repetitions. We can do 3 or 4 sets, 5 to 10 repetitions, making sure you feel it properly. Look how nice the tightness feels here at the level of the pelvis. If I lower my pants anymore, I think they're going to burst. We return to the starting position, very, very pleasant. I'm going to repeat it a couple of times with the opposite side so you can see it from your own home. Very upright. I lean on the chair, slide back, open the angle between my chest, my thoracic area, my lumbar spine, and my back leg. And what I do is raise this hand up. Absolute tightness in my right iliac fossa. I return to the starting position, rest a little, and let's stretch the iliac psoas again. It's not only good for the hip, but it can also be beneficial for the lower back. In fact, it's recommended for people who have recurrent lower back pain. Let's do the final rep, hand behind your neck. And let's go back, let's go. Very, very pleasant. Second stretch. Okay, we can do 2 or 3 sets from 5 to 10 repetitions. Let's switch cameras and show you an alternative that I don't like very much, but that might be helpful for older people. And it's basically a stretch that we do lying down on the couch, or rather than on the couch, I would say on the bed, or on the table. Why? Because we have the same principle, okay? We have to increase the angle between the lumbar area, the abdominal area, and the hip, which has to move backward. So this is the safest stretch we can do. Basically, what we do is lie on our back at the edge of our bed. Pay attention here, leaving half of your buttock or the whole buttock on the outside, off the bed, off the couch, off the chair. Sorry, I meant the table, and from here we're going to lie down. Give me a second so we don't lose the audio here. All right, all right. The right leg, which I don't want to stretch, stays fixed against the chest. The left leg, which I do want to stretch, opens outward. So here, it's gravity that acts on the leg, increasing the angle. Again, remember, it's between the lumbar spine and the leg that's going down. It's a good alternative if you like something extremely passive, and if not, if you feel very comfortable with the previous versions, and it's something anyone can do, regardless of their age. The problem is that we quickly reach the floor, and it's not a stretch that's going to provide intensity. It actually has a very short range. If you compare it, for example, with the sliding movement I just showed you. And to increase that angle, to increase that range of motion, we would need to lie down on a higher table and lie down on a higher table. That means the greater the risk, the greater the possibility of falling. So be careful. It's a good stretch, but it's nothing to write home about either. Let's move on to the next one, for which we'll need the couch again and a small cushion. The trick to this stretch is that people who have knee pain can't do it. because it requires a lot of support at the kneecap. For this, pay close attention. We're going to get into a quadruped position near the couch. Next, I'll rest the top of my foot on the couch and place the cushion right underneath. From here, I move a little to the side, place my opposite leg in front, rest my hand at the level of my knee, and stay upright. As you can see, we're aiming for the same position as at the beginning. We open the angle between the chest, spine, and hip. What are we looking for here? To move a little bit forward? I place my hands down, move my body forward a little, and straighten up again. As you can see, here we already have a very good position to target the stretching of the psoas. Pay close attention. What I'm going to do is bring my hip forward, increasing the angle. Look, let's switch to the other camera that you can see here. It's great from the side view, and you'll see, here it is. You see here in that camera, right? The one that's completely from the side. How do you increase that angle? Look, the angle between the lumbar area and the hip increases. Here they're the same. If I move my pelvis forward, this angle becomes much larger. Tightness in the front part of the psoas, front part of the hip, anterior fossa, and we hold the position. I never lean forward. In fact, if I bend, the tension completely decreases. I always stay very, very upright, and with the hand on the same side, I can place it here to increase that tightness. If I rest my nape against my hand and push my nape backward and bring that elbow up, the tightness is incredible throughout my left iliac psoas. Very good exercise, but not suitable for everyone. For those of you who have kneecap problems, I don't recommend it, because there's significant pressure on the kneecap. If you're not able to hook your foot on the couch, that's okay. It's not strictly necessary. You can place your leg down, but you'll quickly notice a loss of tension. You'll see that you'll have to move your pelvis much more forward, like I'm showing you here, to feel that tension. Let's do it one more time with the opposite side. I get into the quadruped position. I'll show you again. I place my knee on the cushion. Let me set up the other camera so you can see better. There we go. That's it. I place my knee on the cushion, the top of my foot at the level of the sofa. I place my opposite leg. I bring it in a little, if you want. I place my opposite leg here next to it. I sit up straight, and from here we're going to set up the other camera. What I'm going to do is slide my pelvis forward a little, and do you see how here? You can clearly see the difference between my spine, which is not aligned with the back leg, this one here, but instead this one is completely back and my spine is completely straight. Very upright, chest up, hand at knee level, hand on the nape of the neck, the nape pushes back, elbow up, and I hold the position tightly. Where? You already know, right iliac fossa, exactly here, in front of the hip. I go back again and hold for 30 seconds. And relax, if 30 is too much. If you don't feel comfortable, you can just do 5 seconds and go back. I slide my pelvis forward for 5 seconds and go back, slide again for 5 seconds and go back. A very good way to make that psoas more flexible, to give it more elasticity, and to reduce tension and compression in your hip area. We remove this cushion. Now we need a mat, since we're going to do the last and most complicated exercise. Now you'll see that this really is an alternative for young people who aren't afraid to throw themselves on the floor. Let's put this camera here. Let me check that everything's perfect. Let's place the mat on the floor. If you have lower back pain, you shouldn't do this. It's the most demanding activity. In fact, all the stretches we've seen have a certain demand on the lower back. They can cause some discomfort, but that's okay. However, this last one is much more demanding and I don't recommend it to everyone. We get into a quadruped position. I move my feet back until I touch the couch. I lift the top of one foot like we saw before, right? I lift the top of the other foot. I keep moving my knees closer and I end up lying face down. As you can see, my knees are practically touching the couch. Very, very close, okay? Legs together. And from here, what are we going to do? A lumbar extension. We're already placing that leg in flexion. There's a stretch along the entire anterior chain, and there's already a slight stretch in the psoas. So what's missing is adding tension with our hands. This stretch is very physically demanding, but at the same time it's very effective. I'm going to place my arms in a Sphinx position, and if you already feel some tightness in the front of your hips, you can stay there. If you don't feel any tightness, you can work with your hands. And look here. What we're doing again is opening up that angle between the lower back and the thighs, the femurs. If it's a bit hard for you to find the stretch and your lower back bothers you a lot, we can do the following. Move a little to the side, okay? I'm going to move to the right side and work from here. I would be working my right and left psoas with greater intensity. I go back to the starting position and push, feeling the tension in the front part of the hip. If you don't like it, there's a very good alternative. A little trick is basically to place one leg down, with your foot in contact with the couch, and from here, work again. The same thing, okay, we can work straight to see how it feels. Don't like it? We always lean to the opposite side of the leg we want to focus on. Here, I really like this alternative and it gives me a really good feeling. At the level of the left iliac fossa, the front part of the hip, I work, pull up, hold a little, and return to the starting position. As you can see, the final position. He tells us that this exercise is not for everyone, obviously, and that it's reserved only for athletes and younger people. You have 5 options. I listed 4 in the title, but ultimately showed you 5. One even very simple, and they're all organized by difficulty, so you can choose the one that best fits your abilities. In this last variation, because it's stressful for the lower back, I wouldn't hold it for 30 seconds. I would do extensions of about 5 to 10 seconds to work on that extension at the hip and lower back level, to stretch the psoas. Once we finish this care, okay, don't get up immediately. What we're going to do is lie on our side slowly, get into a comfortable position, a position that doesn't cause us any discomfort. We breathe, catch our breath a little, adjust our lower back position, and then we sit up. Why do we do this? Basically, because the lumbar spine doesn't like sudden changes in position, and if you get up suddenly, I'm sure you'll feel pain in your lower back. 20-30 seconds and then we stand up again. Very good. What did you think? 5 very good alternatives. Let's recap them right now so we remember all of them, where we've stretched the iliac psoas very effectively. We started with a version where we placed the foot on the chair, pushing the pelvis forward to create a stretch in that iliac fossa. In the second version, we used the plate by standing up, leaning on the chair, and moving that leg backward. The third version was done lying down, with one leg outside and the other held against the chest. The fourth, we got into a knight's position, with one knee on the floor, the foot on the couch, and the opposite leg in front, moving the pelvis forward. And the last alternative, completely face down, both feet on the couch, lumbar extension with the hands, and this alternative, where we place the leg to one side. Seemingly easy alternatives can be difficult. In fact, I'm here sweating with all these lights. I hope you like these exercises, and if you have hip problems, you already know that I invite you to Hip Week. I will be live every day, giving very powerful advice and exercises aimed at helping you improve your quality of life. And I will also give you different levels of difficulty like today, so you can organize a routine to improve your hip condition. It's completely free and you can access it through the first link in the video description or the first comment, that's all. I sincerely thank you for making it to the end of the video, and I hope you can share it with everyone who needs it, whether they're older people or younger people. Sharing health? You can always help them improve, and it's something they'll remember forever. I'm making my knowledge available to you, and now it's your turn to make that knowledge available to everyone, bringing physical therapy to everyone by sharing what I know. Thank you very much for staying until the end of the video. I'll see you again tomorrow for a new live broadcast. Bye, friends.